everyone. Welcome to the Spawn Point podcast. Here we are with the founders of PERION. Here we are. All right, Lewis, you want to kick us off?
For sure. Yeah. Thanks for having us. Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm Lewis. I'm from marketing in PERION, and then I'll let Mitch and Amos introduce themselves real quick.
Yeah, sure. My name's Mitch. Yeah, one of the sort of founding contributors of PERION. Focus a lot on sort of the governance, the DAO side, and a lot of treasury management. And yeah, kick over to Amos.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. I'm Amos. I'm a contributor to PERION as well. I kind of specialize in the gaming side and tech side of that.
So yeah, so let's kick off the conversation with a quick rundown of everything that's going on your side. Zach, take us through what you're doing with Bedlam, what the vision is, and yeah, how you plan to really influence Web3 gaming and esports through Bedlam as a medium to do that.
Yes, the story is very wild. I joined Every Realm as the head of gaming, and studying the space over the last 18 months became very, very interesting at a time when the guilds were massive, play to earn was at all-time highs, and I thought in my head that esports could be the angle that brings in the masses. And so the plan was to reach out to these guilds and align ourselves with them with a new company called Bedlam, which it's now called. And so I got in touch with Mitch and Amos, and we aligned ourselves, and they are equity holders in the business. And why I'm so excited about guilds and how they have evolved and the value I see is that these companies like PERION have millions of people in their community. And what is great about that is they can get engaged around goals. And these are gamers, they like to play games. And so what better than to create a competitive ecosystem around the space's top games? So we had the foresight to identify a game called EVIO. So we picked that game very early in March of 2022, and they have consistently been a winner. For example, just this week, they won Best FPS of the Year of 2022 and Best Esports Game. So, cha-ching, we picked a good one, which is amazing. They're still doing 600,000 monthly active users, and it's the #1 competitive ecosystem in the space. So, we in stealth built this platform over the last year, and we appreciate our partners sticking with us through that time because, as you know, this is a deep tech project and that stuff takes time. And so we are now in beta with the top 9 guilds in the world, PERION being one of them. And so what we're interested in is having a great platform for essentially beginner to pro. But in this case, PERION has the pros. And having a platform effectively designed by the pros is super, super cool. Because if it's great for the pros, it's going to be great for everyone. And, the plan is to bring all Web3 gamers and Web2 gamers into this platform because the funny, crazy fact is that a majority, well, not a majority, but a good portion of EVIO's players are Web2 players that don't engage in the crypto at all. It's like a crazy insight that no one knows. So anyways, What else can I tell you about the story, Mitch?
Man, I think that's that's super interesting. And like to your point, I think like one of our biggest missions here is really like accelerating the shift to like Web3 gaming as the predominant form of gaming. And I think like to touch on like EVIO as a medium, like by just being an awesome, like super fun game, they're already being a proponent of that shift. And I think that's like really interesting for like where the space is going. It's just like, keep it exciting, get that, like gamers just want fun. They want engaging ecosystems. And so I think like through building Bedlam and partnering with amazing games, that's sort of how we get to that point. And I think like to like expand on Bedlam, right? Like it's like it feels like we're getting into the stage of like having like the first proper esports league for like Web3 games, right? Like I look at the ESL, the LSL, it feels like we're kind of building out that equivalent. Is that sort of like where you're aiming to be with
Yeah,
Bedlam, or is there more to it? Yeah.
it's sort of if Face It and ESL had a baby and it was called Bedlam, basically, is how you could describe it. But
Amazing.
effectively, we're looking out to set the rules, standards, etc., that don't exist in the space and be the pioneers of that and have the biggest brains in the space, Perion being one of them, contribute to that effort. That's the only alliance of all those guilds ever. And
Yeah.
it's super, super cool.
Yeah, I think that's yeah, it is super exciting. And like, you know, Web3 gaming now, it still just feels like it's grassroots stage, and like we're just starting to see like
Yes.
the evolution into more of like a formed up professional format. So yeah, it's super exciting, man. Yeah, can't wait to get some competitive players on the scene. How are you
So,
guys thinking
yeah.
about like the platform in terms of like games? Is it just FPSs, or is it going to be more around like MOBAs and things like this?
Yeah, our goal is to pop off a competitive ecosystem for any games. So the
Yeah,
coolest part of all this is that we've developed an SDK that can enable tournaments, leagues, etc. for independent developers, period. So basically, it's become a B2B thing where any community in game can integrate on their own in a matter of about a month or two, and boom, they got what they want. And you know, we will work with the best games, period. But FPS, MOBA, doesn't matter. Just what, like, we are taking a portfolio approach. So the platform is not dependent on a massive success or a massive failure. It doesn't matter because you guys know games kind of come and go, and it's a
yeah.
hit business, right? So we're there for the space to just provide that backbone and get that stuff going and help them get users, which is what these games desperately, desperately need.
Yeah, that's super exciting, man. Yeah, I think we're really excited just to chop it up in a professional league. We've got some really awesome players in the pipeline. It's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be really exciting.
It's
Yeah,
really uniting. It's like really uniting as well that you've kind of like united all of these guilds into like this competitive landscape where I don't know, that's where things grow and get bigger, right? It's like we can start having banter with some of these other guilds, and yeah,
exactly.
really
Talk
excited to
shit,
see how
etc.
that goes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in a
yeah, yeah.
fun way.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
hopefully we'll have some opportunity to dunk on a few guilds. That'd be cool.
That's right. Have some, yeah. So, and that's a great way for content creators. A lot of them that I know are excited to create content around that stuff, right? And what we need is actually great players playing these games, and that's how you create ultimate fandom as well and
Mm.
make this stuff interesting.
Yeah, if you think about like how, you know, Web3 games turn into like an entertainment franchise, like how, you know,
Right.
how these really grow, it's you need that central platform to all form around. Like it's like, you know, like a football league or like the NFL, these things like this. Like you need that central place that everyone can come to kick off those fan bases, to start that like support for teams, to create that kind of whole ecosystem. So yeah,
I get,
super excited.
yeah. I guess what's really cool and what I'm excited about is our goal is to be the homepage for gamers that want to play Web3 games. They pop it up in the morning. They can
Mm.
effectively, there's a news feed where they can follow the games they like and see it in their feed. They can follow the content creators, and they're going to see all the news across all the socials for the games. It's super cool. So then they can have a player profile where they can identify themselves as a potential pro, and it can be a way for teams like Perion to identify up and coming players, or they can be a content creator and or just be a game educator. I mean, they could do with it what they want, but it's this all in one platform around this competitive gaming theme.
Super cool, man. And like, it's an interesting that transition from sort of at where every realm started, because that's like an interesting story as well. Just that kind
Yeah,
of metaverse real estate play, super interesting fund. Like maybe you want to touch on that a little bit and sort of like tell that journey.
yeah. We've evolved. So we became very famous for being selling a NFT as a yacht for, a high number.
Yeah.
That being said, And also starting the first metaverse real estate fund, which to me just means land in video games and metaverse. And we've evolved a lot from there. And so what we are now is a immersive media company. So in the gaming space, we have a huge focus on that. So what we're doing now is, we've gone out and done acquisitions of gaming studios. We've licensed IP. We have some of our own IP. So games of different genres that have nothing to do with Bedlam, which is a diversified approach that every realm's taking, which I think is really interesting. So that's the building side of every realm that, all those investors kind of invested in. And then we have the part where I'm a bigger participant on the venture capital side. So we have an NFT fund buying assets in these games and metaverses. And then we have our flagship venture capital fund, which I helped start, which is investing only in games, game studios, and game infrastructure. So in very seed, pre-seed stage.
Yep.
So our goal is just to be a major enabler of this ecosystem and helping people get started in the most innovative tech that we think is going to propel the space into our vision, right? So as an investor, as a builder, as a partner, and just doing good things for people. So we've been fortunate that a lot of people want to work with us, and yeah, we're really excited for what 2023 has to hold.
No, that's really cool. And I think yeah, to kind of expand on like what you're saying here as well, like through the lens of like Web3 gaming DAOs, esports teams, guilds, like there's a really interesting opportunity where you blur the line between like investing the treasury into like Web3 gaming titles and then like functioning as a sort of promotional tool or community as a service for those platforms, which I think it really allows for this like great alignment of incentives that's not necessarily like present in Web2 gaming, like through like basic marketing agreements and stuff, where it's like you can take a stake in a platform or a game and really like be like a fantastic promotional tool as an organization. And like that's just like growing together. There's like, I think it's a really valuable way to like propel the ecosystem ahead.
Exactly. And it's nuts. My goal is to work with these NFT communities as well, and
Yeah.
activate them because, by the way, a lot of them are gamers. I mean, there's 3 billion gamers in the world. So the chances are anyone you meet is probably a gamer. And so activating and aligning yourself with, exciting, great, high quality communities, I think is the future for user acquisition into games, into things like Bedlam, etc. That's what Web3 is like literally all about, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Like absolutely. Um, it's yeah, super, super exciting stuff on sort of every front. And like how do you see like, NFT culture being integrated into gaming? Because I mean, like going to like these, NFT NYC and the events now, like all these NFT people, they're all like styled out, they're all decked out. Everyone's looking very cool. Like it's a really interesting evolution. I mean, like NFTs just in like principle, it's like a bunch of like internet native people like picking the art they like and forming communities around it. Like it's like not like Christie's saying like you got to buy a Monet painting. It's like a bunch of people just voting with their crypto and like what they like. I mean, it's really interesting, right?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in digital identity. Like when I put a deck together for anything, I have my real face because I'm doxxed, but then I have my PFP as well. I show them both because I think what's so awesome about Web3 and that NFT culture is you can identify with art and then it can be a digital representation of yourself. And then there's all these new artists, all different types. Anime is big in gaming. Um,
Yep.
and I think what I'm seeing on the inside is that the PFP communities themselves are partnering with, great game studios and integrating their IP into games. And so
Mm.
basically what's happening is people are a part of the NFT community and the art, and then they can take that into a game because circling back, they're gamers.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I think just to like
Self-expression. Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely, man. And like you look at the business model, like the predominant business model in gaming, like on the Web2 side is like it's a skins model. It's like it's like a digital
Hmm.
cosmetic model where it's like that identity is it like giving people the opportunity to express their identity through skins and like other cosmetics is like literally how the games fundraise themselves. So you can see like it's a really natural progression. Like people value their online identities like just as much as their real identities in some cases. So like I think like, and that features a lot into even just our own like strategy when we're like investing in games. Like we do a similar thing, like everything from pre-seed to Series A. Like we like to get involved in some of the most exciting games, and like a big component of that is like the cosmetic infrastructure around that game. It's just like it's a really, really valuable market. It's something like we look really closely at and are sort of like very excited by.
And just
Dude, super smart. Let's call it. Are we gonna call it now, Mitch and Amos, that NFTs communities are gonna converge with gaming in 2023?
Oh yeah, 100%.
100%.
All right, you heard it here first. Sounds good.
That's it. That's the tagline.
I think what's really cool there is like even on the kind of like more, I don't know, historical gaming side of things, it's like we've had transitions from like, oh, you pay this much money to get the game, you play the game, maybe you pay a subscription to be like a higher tier member of this game, you need to buy expansions, you've done this. And then we had like free to play models kind of just absolutely obliterate that kind of model. And then how does like a free to play model work? Well, some ones you have like your microtransactions and that sort of stuff, but other ones you get literally no advantage at all. And there's games just making their kind of like entire revenues, profits, everything, building multi-billion-dollar organizations off people buying skins, because that is how much people care about their digital identity. And like, I don't know, we kind of compared like physical identity to digital identity, but I would say even in some cases, people would value like what they look like online and what they're representing online even more than they value kind of what they're wearing
Yeah,
day to day and this kind of thing.
exactly. I drive a Honda, a cheap truck, and it has a dent in it. However, I spend all my money on cool stuff to look good online. So exactly what you said.
Yeah, I've got a tiny little Polo, man. I'm not flexing with my car.
I'd
That's for
rather
sure.
have, instead of a Lambo, I just want a dope PFP with and join a community of friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And I think like to just elaborate on this as well, like you know, like we've heard obviously like we get questions all the time about like the longevity of like Web3 gaming, and people kind of like question like, you know, does that become like pay to win? And I think like you just can circle back and you say like, look at PFP models, like look at skins models, like that's the perfect like platform for Web3. And I think what's really interesting about that is it also allows like for much more of a creator economy. So for people to come into games and do something that's like not detracting the game experience at all, but like enriching it and like getting paid for their time and you know, getting paid for what they build. And then the games just become like almost like charging a tax on like that economic sort of activity within their title. And so I think like there's like, to dispel the FUD, there's like so many ways for like Web3 gaming to move forward and just be super like value additive to like the gamers and the game experience. So definitely.
I'm really excited as in my kind of genre as a content creator and community builder to help unlock the UGC piece of these communities that are building that in the games, right? I think if you can do that meta, it's all over. The game wins. And yeah, I want to help.
Hey, man. Yeah, same. Yeah, content creation in Web3, it's like it's an exciting topic as well.
I think that's what's going to bring in. The reason why I started it is because I have fun doing it. But I think that, you know, for now I'm in Web3 Twitter, but later this month I'm dropping YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and you're not going to throw crypto in people's faces and just show off fun games. And I think that's how you bring people into the space, the billions.
100%. Like that's the onboarding tool.
And work with big, cool influencers because they're into it too. So yeah, anything, what else? Yeah. That's
Sure,
a good, that was a great discussion, dude. Super awesome.
I think it transitions nicely into a further discussion of the role of content creators in esports and Web3 gaming as a whole. I mean, looking at traditional Web2 esports organizations, every day we're seeing just how like increasingly valuable content creators are becoming to those organizations and how they're continuing to scale up their content creator divisions. I'm curious to know, like from Bedlam's perspective, you touched on it briefly a bit before about how Bedlam could help facilitate content creation in the Web3 gaming space. Do you want to elaborate a bit more on that? And then in a broader sense, how do you see, content creation growing in Web3 gaming as a whole, and what role could that play in transitioning Web2 gamers to Web3?
That is an amazing topic that I happen to be passionate about. So thank you for asking the question. Um, the reason why a piece of Bedlam and why we created it was because content creators for Web3 games are not being discovered on YouTube and other platforms, right? People aren't searching for it. However, there is a market for people interested in those games. So basically, anyone looking for content creators in the space can come to this platform and find them, which is dope, and get views, which is ultimately what's going to unlock brand deals and game deals and all that other kind of stuff. So to me, that's going to be a massive trend. And I'm working personally through what I'm doing, in my new future to unlock creators, give them a platform to represent games and do different styles of content, because everyone's different, right? Maybe it's educational, maybe it's entertaining, maybe it's funny, maybe it's reaction, or whatever it is. It's valuable because these games have awesome stuff, and most of the time they don't have the time to focus on putting that stuff out. So enter me and my community and Bedlam as a platform, and you can start to unlock, I think, the super important stuff. Because gaming is not just about the players and the playing experience. It has to be about the watching experience as well. And I think those are the points that I would like to kind of emphasize there. What do you guys think?
Awesome.
I
Sorry,
mean,
just
like,
to interrupt quickly, the Zoom meeting is about to end because it's a
Oh
free
shit.
chat. I'm
Let's
gonna
start a
upgrade
new
it.
one.
I'm gonna upgrade it real quick.
Oh, okay.
But I just didn't
I'm
want to
cheap.
cut off. I just didn't want to cut off mid-conversation. So give me 1 sec and I'll
All right.
I'll upgrade it.
In
Sorry to the
Australia, there was
sorry to the PERION corporate card right now.
Yeah,
all
whoa.
all good.
About to
In
get
I'll pay you
Australia, there
guys
was
back for it. Don't worry. Yeah.
Stress. We got
there was a live news reporting thing, and it was like some massive company in Australia, and midway through it's just like cut out because of the Zoom thing. So Lewis is
What's
doing
the
a,
gaming community like over there, dude? In Brisbane, is there like a gaming scene?
Oh man,
it's
yeah.
massive. Everyone plays games. Like it's huge on that level.
That's cool.
But I think a lot of startups have kind of come through, raised capital, and then just not been able to create kind of competitive gaming organizations within Australia. And I think that's because of the cost of the players here, less pool of skills. But I feel like no one's just been able to monetize it right just yet. So yeah, people
I'd
raising
love
money,
to like work
going
with you
down.
guys and try to figure that out. If we
Yeah.
figure it out, we're gonna be successful
That's it,
We've had
man.
and rich.
a lot of we've had a lot of discussions around this, man. Yeah, there's definitely some gaps, and we can certainly jump into that. I mean, like Amos, you were telling me that what was it, the TI or like one of the league championships? We like an Australian guy won it like twice, but no one knows. Or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yes. So,
Thank
so
you,
there
Lewis.
is
You're
good
amazing.
talent.
All good.
Thanks,
Just
Lewis.
upgraded it. So proceed. We'll just edit that bit out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's good talent here. And no real competitive scene, but we are getting kind of, it's called Fortress Gaming, or Fortress. They're putting in like massive kind of mini esports arenas for kind of like
Wow.
250 people and stuff. And I think they're
That's
opening
cool.
another one in another city in Australia. So it is cool.
I mean,
Slowly
part of the goal with Bedlam is to do IRL stuff too. Like we all went virtual during COVID, but part of the DNA of esports is in real life stuff and merch.
absolutely.
And I want to work on dope merch with PERION and one of your companies
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And like we've definitely got some really, like we've got some stuff saved away for that, right? Like for
Yeah.
us now, we need to build that franchise up, get that audience, and then we're like ready to really hit that culture angle pretty hard, man, when it comes through. Because I think like realistically, there's a big gap in like Web3 esports and even like Web2 esports, and like genuine, like you look at like NFT culture, man, people are starving. Like people are looking
Yeah.
good. I think there's like a
Yeah.
gap, like the gaming culture like space there to really like catch up and to merge with like what people actually are looking for. Like when you kind of think about culture, like you want something that people can wear in their everyday life and feel good in, right? Like you want like and it can kick back to gaming, and it
Yeah.
should, but like it's got to hit that culture angle really right.
And I
Yeah.
think
Whether
part of
it's
that
like,
as well.
yeah.
I think part of that as well is like, so for me, gaming was always something that was kind of like kept under the rug. It wasn't like a cool thing that I did. And then like Web3 came along, and actually, again, it's not the coolest game, but in being able to kind of like play that somewhat professionally and earn money in that space, it did become a really cool thing. It was like I was talking to all these, like everyone, I was talking to everyone about it. It's like, oh my God, check out this game. Like you can make all this money. It's like these cute little things attacking each other. You can breed, and just like going through like the whole like motions of this thing. And then even since then, it's like in kind of working on PERION and having kind of gaming as a full-time part of my life. It's like, it is such a cool thing. Like it's probably the like coolest thing you could be doing. Like
I
and
know.
content creation in gaming, same. Yeah.
Well, look,
Yeah.
I said this today. I think I posted a video, but people making money playing games is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's not going away. These publishers and Web3 is leading that charge. They're sharing the revenue, whether it's like with content creators or user acquisition, so on and so forth. Like, dude, yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
I think like the interesting point there is like it's a much more direct route for monetization, where it's like
Mhm.
the player or the creator is interacting directly with the game or the platform,
Yeah.
and like getting something out of it. Like they don't have to go to like these kind of secondary or tertiary revenue streams where they're like, okay, so I have to play the game, but then I have to film myself, get people to pay for me filming myself, and then maybe on the back end of that sell t-shirts. Like you can kind of look into more like direct monetization routes, which I think is really, really interesting for like the value created by the gamer themselves and the value they can kind of accrue to themselves.
Mm.
That's sick. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's smart stuff. I like it.
Yeah. I think like circling back to like the content itself, like what do you think about like some of the the Web3 wagering dynamics in games,
Mhm.
and like how that's going to change the content, like how it's going to make it more exciting for the viewer?
Yeah, it's an area I'm very interested in on the investment side. There's some great companies being built. Actually, one of them, it's actually in London and South Africa called Skirmish.
Okay.
But wagering is super cool. It's fun to watch. Whether you enter a game, you can lose NFTs, whether you can bet on pros and crypto. I mean, that's the perfect use case of crypto, right?
Mm.
And bringing that meta and community to it. My friend Drew is building an awesome company around this at Redbeard Ventures. So I think if you can unlock content, community, and wherever those conversations and content happens, I mean, it's super, super important to the space. And that's a Web2 thing. So it's proven, but we need to adopt it. And I'm seeing like early stage companies try to iterate around that now. And it's something I'm looking for a partner on Bedlam for it immediately. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, I think it's cool.
Super interesting. We might be able to chat around that.
Okay.
Cool.
I don't want to like go through all the regulatory this, that. So I'm looking for a great partner that's an
Yeah.
expert and super buttoned up.
Yeah, regulatory is an interesting challenge, man.
But it's a super advantage if you can figure it out.
Yeah, no, it is 100%.
Um,
Cool, man. Like this, yeah,
Yeah.
great chat. It's been
What
great chopping it
else,
up.
Lewis? Anything else?
can I jump in
Yeah.
for one? It's not
Yeah,
like
man.
so much the Web3 side of things, but it is talking about kind of like future of gaming and this whole thing. And we've had like a lot of stuff come out with AI recently, with like chat GPTs and image processors, this kind of stuff. And that's going to come into like the gaming space and the gaming realm in like the form of like all your NPCs are going to be like these crazy advanced like AIs and this sort of stuff. I was just wondering, like, what's everyone's kind of like thoughts on how AI is going to affect gaming? I don't know. It's already affecting content across like Twitter and like I'm sure like throughout everywhere it's affecting content. So I was just wondering, like, what are your thoughts on how it's like going to affect gaming?
Yeah, look, that's a super cool question. And I think like you kind of touched on it there with the NPCs, like thinking about like going into a game and having like more like a reactive experience, like an experience that reacts to the actions you perform in a game rather than like a scripted experience with like multiple kind of options. I think it'll be really fun to see like who adapts to that technology. But yeah, that's a super exciting point, and we should bake that into our thesis. I want to look at that.
From my 2 cents are the following. I'm seeing excited devs use stuff like Midjourney and there's other platforms help them accelerate game development. That's amazing, because if you can effectively with AI quicken the cycle, improve the loop to actually figure out what gamers like, that's huge. That's a game changer for dev studios. It's a money saver. Everyone's gonna win. So I'm personally super excited about that innovation going on, Amos. Yeah, 100.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think
All
touching
right.
on your point with speeding up development, it's going to speed up like UGC as well. So we're going to probably have even like smaller dev shops able to kind of create amazing user generated content within these games. And yeah, I'm really excited for that.